And we're back. Welcome to the Culture and Cannabis Podcast. My name is JC Coates. I'll be one of your hosts today. Listen, we have a great podcast, but first, can we just talk about last week? Man, we had the 2020 debate. Incredible response. Derek and Tina were in house. Good job, right? So cannabis people do know their politics. So there, right? So anyway, moving forward, listen, we have so much going on with the Culture and Cannabis team. It's just crazy. Half of our team is in Oklahoma, half of our team is in Las Vegas, and the hustle just doesn't quit, right? We've set the stage to take our cannabis brand, our unique style of media and creative cannabis products to 15 new markets over the next 3 years, right? We're going to create one of the most impactful hustle stories ever created. I just can't wait to share it with you guys. So listen, the journey starts with Oklahoma. And we got my partners out there, Anthony and Chuck. Are you out there, guys? Boom.
Yo!
There it is. What's up? Full-time Tony, man, in the building.
In the flesh. What's good?
Where you at? Tulsa, Oklahoma, USA. What's good over there?
Yeah, currently in Tulsa, Oklahoma, USA. The Midwest, man, Bible Belt. There's lots of nicknames for it, but we're currently at the Airbnb, which is like kind of our office / sleeping place. And yeah, man, it's been a fantastic time. Just really getting ingrained in this community. Me and Chuck are just bouncing around, rolling around in the Highlander, and just seeing what kind of trouble we can get into.
It's beautiful, man. I think the theme is right. Like it's all about relationships, right? And I think you guys are committed to the process. We carved out 32 days out of our lives to go out there and dedicated that to, meeting community leaders, influencers, cultivation owners, dispensary partners, right? And just dive into that. How's that been going for you?
We definitely went in head first, to say the least, right? So it's been interesting, right? Because, the markets are definitely different. They're not the same. There's definitely some similarities in the culture here. And I think, Oklahoma kind of gives me some reminiscence, if that's the right word, of Nevada early on, late medical days, early rec days. And so it's just cool to see, it's definitely in its can't say N words today. It's definitely a baby market, right? Not in the sense of size, but in the sense of years that they've had it. And this is only year number 2 for the most part for majority of facilities and grows. So it's just interesting to see where they're at and where they plan on going.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to agree. It's, being from the Nevada market, or having at least, not just being the Nevada market, but having gone through, medical phases and then, gray days and then, tighter medical regulations and then going through recreational, it's a process, right? And every new market kind of grows through that process. And we went through it in Nevada. We're getting to see it play out in Oklahoma and be a part of that. It's really definitely cool. What do you see as like the main market differences between Nevada and Oklahoma?
Probably number one right off the bat is the amount of people who own licenses here, right? In Nevada, it's a very privileged license. I think there's a total of probably 400 licenses total in the state, and that includes everything from dispensaries to grows to production facilities to labs. So, and I know that number is growing, especially with this new round of licenses that just got released due to the lawsuit. But here in Oklahoma, there's about 2,500 dispensaries, and God knows how many producers and grow facilities and distribution companies and labs. So they're probably closer to that 5,000 mark as far as licenses go. You could go to pretty much any dispensary and you'll find a completely different setup of products, which is pretty interesting to see. Where in Nevada, you have some staple brands in pretty much every store, where here it's not the same at all. And it's crazy, right? So like we went to a small town called Stillwell, which is on like the outskirts of Oklahoma on the border of Arkansas, which has about 6,000 people that lives there, and they have 10 dispensaries in their city, which is like unheard of, right? So it's a very dense state. That's probably the biggest difference I noticed. And then as far as the amount that you can purchase and the amounts of milligrams they put into their edibles. I'm sitting right here with our partners' edibles, and just right off the bat, their average edible size is 250 milligrams. which is a lot. I'm getting a lot of these pieces that have 25 milligrams per piece or 20 milligrams per piece, so they're definitely sending it on the edibles. Definitely sending it on the edibles, and I think that obviously the biggest difference is probably the flower. I think there's a lot of black market weed that is entering this legal market through backdoor deals and stuff. So I think consumers are a lot more worried here when it comes to making sure flower has a product that is tested, where it comes from. Where in Nevada, people kind of just buy it blindly just because the regulations are so tough. So, I think this consumer might even be a little bit more informed than a Nevada consumer because of that. But it's just interesting because, different people ask different questions, and there's still the guy who walks in and says, give me your highest THC, right? So
Right.
There's definitely those similarities that are still here.
Nice, nice. Well, I mean, how do you feel about that, right? I mean, the privilege license model versus the, everyone can have a license. Do you think the people are responsible enough to have licenses, or do you think the state should be really in control and only release a few of those licenses?
I think as far as, my business sense tells me one of two things, right? So I love the idea that any guy or gal can walk up with their $2,500 to $5,000, pick up a license, and start their business for the most part. What I don't like is that in that same sense, is that literally anybody can own a license. And so usually people, not this is not every case, but usually people who have made enough money to buy a license in Nevada know how to run a business to a certain extent. Not very well is what we found out. There's lots of people who don't run very good businesses in Nevada, but Oklahoma, it's interesting because it's like feast or famine for a lot of these places. So I think it's just interesting because it really comes down to your marketing and your relationships and like what edge you're taking in the market. Because I mean, for $10,000, you're a vertically integrated company, which that's like $100 million buy in Nevada if you want to do it correctly.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, I mean, let's talk about the weed, right? Let's talk about the cannabis, right? Oklahoma. I mean, you talk about Stillwell, right? For example, we talked to some guys out there, and they said at one point, I think they were responsible for almost 60% of the nation's strawberries, right? So that soil and that land and that climate is great for agriculture, right? So when it comes to cannabis, how does like the structure of the weed differ from Nevada?
As far as the cannabis goes, I think just because it's such an early market, the amount of cycles they've done, they just haven't had enough time to really work out all the kinks, especially in their indoor facilities. And the other issue too is majority of the facilities out here are outdoor. And as me and Chuck have found out, the Oklahoma weather is definitely not a fan favorite, especially if you're Chuck. Because for the past almost 6-7 days, it's been raining straight. We haven't seen the sun until today. And OKC hasn't had power for the past 48 hours. So, I mean, if you're a grow facility in Oklahoma City right now, you're fucking losing your shit.
Jeez.
So stuff like that definitely plays into effect. And it once again goes back to the fact of testing, right? They don't have a metric system here. They don't have a seed to sale tracking process. So you could pretty much do almost anything you want. And because of that, you're seeing a lot of weed getting driven in from California or Washington or Oregon, where it's abundant. And it comes in, then someone buys it from the dispensary, and then they have to test it. And then when they test it, it tests high for pesticides or it tests high for whatever the case may be. But the biggest problem out here is mold. They have a really hard time with mold out here, and that's just due, like you mentioned, the humidity, where places like Nevada have very low humidity, which it also brings its own set of problems. But a lot of mold is what I've been noticing out here, and people, unfortunately, don't know what mold is, right?
Yeah.
They think it's a very crystally bud. It's like, no, dog, that's mold. So
it's basically dry Nevada weed versus wet Oklahoma weed.
Yeah, moldy, wet Oklahoma weed. So it's either you get bugs in your Nevada weed or you get mold in your Oklahoma weed. And I'm pretty sure they have bugs in their Oklahoma weed as well. So
yeah. Well, listen, man, it's hard growing cannabis, and
Not easy.
it's definitely not easy. Well, listen, like, your Instagram is on fire, bro. Like, there's
Thank
all
you.
kinds of things happening there. You're there. You're in Oklahoma with the coldest camera guy to ever grace the cannabis community, Mr. Chuck Sakuso, and you guys are dropping sick content. What's coming next? And what are you guys doing now? And what's coming next?
Yeah, Chuck is definitely the X factor when it comes to owning the cannabis business. I don't know if we'd be doing so well, JC, if we didn't have him. So shout out to Chuck. He doesn't get all the glory that he likes. He's sitting literally right here next to me, like looking at me, just shaking his fucking head. He's like, don't mention my name, bro. Don't even speak on my name. But that's okay. But we got a lot of stuff coming. So we just got done with pretty much doing every single product that our partners do. Ruby Maze, which I got right here. They do some amazing edibles. These are the roommate jam. They do hard candies. They do sour gummies. And my favorite was a peanut butter chocolate. And man, these peanut butter chocolates are so good. I know I might be frozen right now. I know you can hear me, which is all that matters. But
I love their chocolates too. There you are.
Yeah, we also got the Ruby Made Bold as well, which is an infused pre-roll.
Yes.
I haven't really seen a dipped. They dip their flour in distillate, and then coat it with keef, and then put it into a pre-roll, which I think is pretty interesting.
That just sounds bold.
So, yeah, very bold. So we just got done doing all their products, and then next is talking about all the products that we're going to bring to market, right? So we're going to start with our famous 7-gram ready-to-roll bag. It's a lot of people are super excited about it.
Yep.
There's some great partners out here for us to pick up some amazing bee bud and popcorn bud to pre-ground and throw into a bag with a pack of papers that get you ready on the road. And we got some of the infused pre-rolls coming. The Hustler is going to be coming out here, which I'm really excited about. We got some other cool stuff that's going to be happening out here, some regular pre-rolls. And the biggest thing is that they don't have pre-packaged flour out here. Right. And I think it's a very touchy subject because people like to see their weed and smell the weed before they buy it, which I understand. But at the same time, there's a sanitation issue with that. So hopefully we can help lead the charge and bring in prepackaged flour to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think it's just an education process, right? Listen, at the end of the day, it's medicine, right? And, you don't want everybody in the, all the customers before you handling your medicine. So, but
every budtender that's ever worked in the Oklahoma cannabis community
rub their nose on my medicine. Listen, at the end of the day, they could have a bud bar. They can put one bud there. You can sniff it, right? They can have the packaged flower in the back. So you can still smell it, right? You can still look at it. You can see it. Packaged flower is not the end of the world. You can still smell the weed. There's ways around it. And, but like you said, it is a cleaner option for sure. Well, dope, man. We're excited, dude. I'll be out there in 2 weeks to join you to kind of
can't wait.
Wrap up this initial expansion project. It's been incredible. And I'm just super proud of you guys.
I got approval from JC. I'm ready to die now. I can do whatever I want. This is it.
Go out drinking tonight. Put it on the company card.
Chuck, yeah, company card. Fuck it, we're sending it. But yeah, man, really excited. Thank you for holding it down out there. It's been awesome, a very awesome experience. Thank you for introducing me and Chuck to your home state. It's definitely it's definitely a little bit of a culture shock from a city boy from Las Vegas, but we're managing it, and it's been a lot of fun. And I can't wait to get you guys back out here so we can show you the couple things that we've learned. I might be saying y'all a little bit. I might come out here with a little bit of twang, but that's okay.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. But I'm really excited to check out the rest of this podcast.
All right, brother. I'll catch you in a couple of weeks. I'll see you next week. I'll see you next week on the podcast here. Also.
You'll see you next week on the podcast. Yeah. We'll have more updates and maybe some crazy stories to tell.
For sure. Thank you, brother. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Boom. There it is, man. It's like the hustle gang in action. Man, it's just been an incredible process getting out there to Oklahoma. Listen, we're gonna switch gears here today. We have a friend of mine in studio, somebody I've been connected to, that's been out to our events, that I've been connected to on Instagram. The Pink Fox is in the building. How are you?
Hi.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on the show. So so the Pink Fox 702 on Instagram.
Yes.
Right. And so you have. We're going to dive into your story, and you're also where do you work? You want to tell us where you work?
Yes, I work at State Flower. I'm a cultivator.
Nice, beautiful, nice. I love, nice women out there in the garden and in the cultivation. There's a lot of them out there. They deserve a lot of respect. So, tell us about what goes on at State Flower.
So basically, I'm mainly in the veg room.
Okay.
I do like the cloning. I take care of my babies.
So let's talk about that, right? So the propagation and the cloning, right? This is when kind of like the first process, right? And
Right.
so do you want to start from? Can we start from propagation? Do you start there, or do you take clippings from?
I don't do the clippings. My lead does.
Okay.
But I do the cutting, and basically when you clone and the first steps, you just have to really take care of the plant. It's very fragile. Like it's more like you have to be attention to detail. It's not like a job where you can't care.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
you have to care about the plants. You have to bring good energy to the plant. You can't go on a bad day or bang the plant around or anything. It's about your attitude and your mindset when you work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you practice to kind of exude positive vibes to the babies?
Basically, I do meditation,
Okay.
cleansing. Just basically just breathe, it's mainly I'm having fun at work.
Nice. Okay.
I want to go to work.
Yeah. What a great feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Right. And the plants can feel that, right?
Yeah.
They're like, they can tell if they don't want to be around somebody, right? Or somebody doesn't want to be around them, right?
Right.
Well, that's dope. That's dope. So, let's dive into a little bit more of your story, right? So you have, I have a medical story in cannabis, and medical stories matter, right? In this industry, it's one of the main things that really sets this industry apart from some of the other industries that we get compared to a lot of times, right? Like sometimes we'll get compared to cigarette industry or the alcohol industry, and we're nothing like that, right? And a lot of it is driven by the medical story. So let's dive into yours a little bit, right?
Okay.
So you got sick, right?
Right.
So what happened?
So I was hospitalized twice for sepsis.
Okay.
What people don't understand, sepsis is blood poisoning. It's where the body attacks itself, causing organ failure.
Yes.
And I was sick literally for 3 years. I could not move. I could not get out of bed. And the reason why I'm so grateful for weed, or I'm passionate about weed, is because when I got sick, they prescribed me 9 pills. That would have killed me.
Yeah. Do you remember what they were?
I don't remember the exact, it's, long names, stuff that I don't really remember, but it's that because I have kidney issues, right?
Yeah.
If I were to take those 9 pills prescribed by the hospitals, that would have killed my kidneys. So I switched to a more holistic, medical process basically, and I decided I'm just going to smoke cannabis. And I never smoked cannabis before. I was never like a stoner. I was never somebody that liked to just smoke weed. That was never me. Actually, my family was against weed.
Right.
So when I started smoking weed, it was a long process of healing, but I got my health back.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the most important thing. Without all the chemicals or side effects from the pills, like I'm totally healthy, and I'm thankful that I started smoking weed.
Right. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful. So like a lot of times I think, people have those stories, and some people will say, oh, like, the weed cured me, right? But, sometimes there's more to it, right? It's like, sometimes it helps you along the healing path, right? It's there to kind of comfort you or take away certain symptoms that, that you definitely don't want to treat with like an opiate, you know what I mean? That you can get by with the cannabis. That's great. So, so after you got sick and you got healed, and so now you continue to use cannabis, right?
Yes.
And so, is that what kind of just basically, did you decide I was going to work in the cannabis industry after that?
Yeah.
And so you just went out looking, or?
Yeah, I just basically, I actually went to one of your events.
Oh, okay. Which one?
It was, I think, before the one Paul Wall had.
The Mike Jones event?
The Mike Jones.
Mike Jones event. Nice.
That one.
Nice.
And I met Jared.
Okay.
He was one of the vendors there.
Okay.
And we connected.
Very cool.
And he's like, I need help. We need
Nice.
good help at State Flower.
Nice.
And then I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, hey, Jared, I want to be a cultivator.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love those stories because, we did those events for so long, and from time to time, I didn't know you were going to tell me that. You know what I mean? I didn't know that you were going to say, I met somebody at an event that you put together, and that's where I'm still at today. So that's just a cool story, right? It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So where do you see, kind of like, your place in cannabis moving forward? What are you up to next?
Well, hopefully I'm doing more research, learning more about the plant, learning more about new technologies, how we grow in the desert, in different environments.
Nice.
The difference between outdoor and indoor. And, it's one of the coolest things is all about genetics.
Yep.
It's all about the genetics, the strain, and what you can make out of the strain. There's different side effects.
Yeah.
And through further research that we could, cultivate more medicines.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Are you all about the terps, or?
Me?
Yeah. Not so much. You don't get all hung up on the terps.
I'm not
or?
too hung up on the terps,
Yeah.
honestly.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm more about, the substance. What I talk about in substance is when you smoke it, like, does it give it like a good feeling? Do you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Because sometimes like some certain strains I cannot smoke because it's everybody's body is different. I cannot smoke sativa. It's
Get you wound up.
too wound up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like all of it, honestly. I could do a good sativa. I could do an indica. I could do a good hybrid. I'm good with all of it. So listen, you got a dope hat on.
Oh yes.
And your Instagram is the Pink Fox 702. What's good with it? What's going on with that?
So this is my brand. The Pink Fox is my clothing. I haven't released it yet. My Instagram doesn't really have many followers because I've been underground for a long time. But now I'm coming out in public.
Nice.
And basically, what my brand represents, if you see the flame on the fox's tail, it just means even in the darkest of times, there's hope. It's just like, always keep dreaming, always keep your passions. Like before, nobody, 10 years ago, if I were to say I was going to be a cultivator, people would be laughing at me. And now times has changed, and anything is possible.
Yes. Yeah.
Dreams are possible.
Yeah, I believe you. I preach it all the time. Your dreams do matter, and I believe we live in a magical place. You know what I mean? And you can create things with your mind. your wildest dreams can't imagine, you know? And I think it's dope that, you know, you're in tune with that and are kind of like on that wavelength. I think it's really cool. Really cool. So the Pink Fox 702, that's dope. So listen, where can they find you? You know, what's going to be next for you?
So basically, the only thing I have right now is my Instagram. So if you want to
Cool.
follow my Instagram, pinkfox702, you can contact me through there.
Nice.
And then in the future, hopefully, I can be at one of your events.
Nice. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. And I appreciate your support on Instagram and all that stuff. And I think your brand is dope, and what it represents is really cool.
Thank
So
you.
thanks for coming on. Well, there you have it, folks. There's another Culture and Cannabis podcast in the books. So much going on. Listen, you know, my partners are out there getting it. You know, follow me on Instagram, jc.coates. You can see, you know, my stories in action. I'm out there in the streets, pushing our brand out here. Our boys are out there in Oklahoma. We're getting it done. And we're going to follow through 15 markets, 36 months. So watch us get it done. Catch you guys next time. Peace.